Welcome back to the NBC Update channel. Today we will learn about the issue that is set to shake the very foundations of Salem. Gwen von Leuschner's calculated, heart-wrenching, and potentially permanent strategy to claim Xander Kyriakis once and for all. The architecture of a trap, Gwen's masterstroke. The whispers echoing through the alleyways of Salem are growing into a roar, suggesting a storyline shift that will redefine the concept of manipulation on days of our lives. Gwen von Leuschner, a woman known for her survival instincts and moral flexibility, appears to have identified the one vulnerability in Xander Kyriakis' armor that she can exploit. The revelation is stark and impactful. She must have a child with him. This is not merely a romantic whim, it is a tactical strike on Xander's emotional state. Xander is currently a man adrift, a warrior without a war, and a father without a child. The loss of his daily life with Sarah Horton and, more devastatingly, his separation from Victoria Kyriakis has left a void in his soul. Gwen, ever the opportunist, sees this void not as a tragedy, but as an opening. The premise is simple: replace the family he lost with a new one that he cannot walk away from. The agony of Xander Kyriakis, a father's grief. To understand why Gwen's plan is so diabolically perfect, we must first deeply analyze the current psychological state of Xander Kyriakis. Fans who have followed the Zara saga know that Xander's evolution from a ruthless henchman to a loving partner was driven almost entirely by his desire for domestic stability. Losing Sarah was a blow to his heart, but losing his proximity to Victoria was a blow to his identity. Xander has made the heartbreaking decision to step back. He has agreed not to pursue a contentious custody battle, a noble sacrifice made to preserve peace for the child. However, the silence in his apartment is deafening. The toys are gone, the laughter has faded, and the routine of fatherhood has been stripped away. He is suffering from a profound sense of displacement. While he struggles to sever the romantic cords binding him to Sarah, watching with quiet devastation as she drifts closer to the comfort and stability of Brady Black is simultaneously mourning the death of his future. He is trying to be selfless, trying to let Sarah go for her own happiness, but this selflessness leaves him exposed, lonely, and desperate for connection. It is in this precise moment of weakness that he is most susceptible to the comfort of a familiar flame. The reignition, old habits, and new agendas. Spoilers indicate that Xander's attempt to move on will not lead him to a monk's existence. Instead, it will lead him directly back to the woman who has always accepted his darker impulses, Gwen. The prediction is that Xander, seeking to numb the pain of his broken family, will soon find solace in Gwen's bed. For Xander, this may be a physical release, a momentary lapse into the comfort of the past. But for Gwen, this is the launchpad for her future. Viewers must remember that when former couples in Salem reconnect physically, the universe rarely lets it be a casual encounter. The writers are setting the stage for a biological complication that will irrevocably bind these two together. Gwen is not entering this tryst blindly. She knows that Xander is on the rebound. She knows he is thinking of Sarah even when he is with her. But Gwen also knows that possession is 9/10 of the law. If she can transition from being his ex to being the mother of his child, the dynamic shifts instantly. She ceases to be a mistake and becomes a priority. The ultimate tether. Why a pregnancy changes everything. Why is a pregnancy the checkmate move for Gwen? We must look at Xander's character history. Xander Kyriakis is fiercely loyal to his blood. Despite his villainous tendencies, he values family above all else. His love for Victoria child, not even biologically his by traditional standards, proved his capacity for fatherhood. If Gwen were to carry his biological child, she knows Xander would never abandon her. He would not repeat the sins of his own chaotic upbringing. A pregnancy would force Xander to build a home with Gwen. It would force him to direct his protective instincts toward her. The emotional replacement. Gwen is betting that a new baby will act as a salve for the wound left by Victoria's absence. She hopes to hand him a newborn and say, "Here's the love you thought you lost." The Sarah barrier. A child with Gwen creates a permanent, insurmountable wall between Xander and Sarah. Sarah might forgive crimes, but can she truly reconcile with Xander if he is raising a family with her rival? Gwen knows this drives a stake through the heart of any potential Zara reunion. The financial and social motivations. Beyond the romantic obsession, we cannot ignore the practicalities of Gwen's situation. She has been cut off from the resources she once thought she could rely on. With access to Dmitri von Leuschner's fortune gone, Gwen is facing a future of instability. Xander, despite the current crisis at Titan, represents the Kyriakis legacy. He is power, he is money, and he is status in Salem. Gwen has always had a taste for the finer things, or at least, the security that comes with wealth. By carrying a Kyriakis heir, she secures her own financial future. She envisions a life where she is not just the town pariah, but the mother of a Titan heir. Furthermore, there is a redemption arc she is desperately trying to force into existence. We must recall the tragedy of her miscarriage with Chad Dimra's baby. That loss scarred her. Deep down, Gwen may believe that fate owes her a second chance at motherhood. In her twisted logic, having Xander's baby fixes everything: her bank account, her broken heart, and her empty arms. Conclusion: a family forged in deception. As the weeks progress, viewers should prepare for a significant shift in Gwen's behavior. She will likely become more nurturing, more available, and more determined to get Xander into bed. She is playing a long game. The question remains: will the pregnancy determine the future of their new family? The answer appears to be a resounding yes. If Gwen succeeds in her trap, Xander will likely step up. He will try to love the mother for the sake of the child. He will try to recreate the domestic bliss he lost with Sarah. Gwen is banking on the fact that Xander's honor will outweigh his heart. She is ready to use her body to secure his soul. Stay tuned, because the next generation of the Kyriakis dynasty might just be born out of Gwen von Leuschner's desperate, calculated need to win Xander Kyriakis forever. Part 2. We take a calm but thoughtful look at the emotional events of Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, a day filled with family tension, lingering grief, and difficult conversations that refuse to be avoided. On this particular day in Salem, several storylines quietly but powerfully unfolded, touching on themes that many longtime viewers understand all too well: the pain of loss, the challenge of parenting, and the struggle to move forward when the past still weighs heavily on the heart. While there were no explosions or dramatic cliffhangers, the emotional undercurrents ran deep, especially for characters who have already endured more than their share of heartbreak. Marlena may be physically well, but her heart is still broken. The episode opens on a bittersweet note as Dr. Sarah Horton delivers what should be good news to Marlena Evans. After careful evaluation, Sarah is pleased to report that Marlena is physically healthy and cleared from a medical standpoint. For any patient, especially one who has given so much of her life to helping others, this would normally be a moment of relief and celebration. However, Marlena's quiet response makes it clear that not all wounds can be measured with charts and test results. She admits, in a moment of raw honesty, that since losing John, she often doesn't feel like herself anymore. Her days feel unfamiliar, her thoughts unsettled. This is not confusion or illness, it is grief, deep and unrelenting. For viewers who have followed Marlena and John's love story for decades, this admission carries enormous weight. Losing John was not just losing a husband, it was losing a partner, a constant, and a piece of her own identity. Sarah listens carefully, clearly concerned. As a doctor, she understands that emotional health is just as important as physical recovery, especially at this stage of life. Still, she gently expresses hope that Marlena might eventually return to her practice at the hospital. Salem could certainly use her wisdom and experience, and Sarah herself would welcome having Marlena back by her side. Marlena doesn't rule it out, but she also makes it clear that if she returns, it won't be full-time. At this point in her life, she needs balance, space, and time to heal. Sarah respects that decision and thanks Marlena for continuing to see Xander as a patient, even during her break. Given Xander's recent behavior, especially towards Sarah and Brady, that hasn't been easy. Before they part, Marlena reveals something Sarah already suspects. She knows about Sarah and Brady. The connection between them is obvious, even if they haven't said much out loud. Marlena isn't judgmental, but she is concerned especially about Brady. As his stepmother, her worrying comes from a place of love and experience. She knows how complicated his emotional life has become, and she fears he may be rushing into something before truly dealing with everything he's been through. Brady and Kristen face the reality of co-parenting. Meanwhile, Brady finds himself in another uncomfortable position, standing face-to-face with Kristen DiMera. He visits her at home, where she is enjoying the freedom of life outside prison. For Kristen, this is a hard-won peace, and Brady disrupts it almost immediately by bringing up troubling news about their daughter, Rachel. According to Brady, Rachel's recent behavior has raised serious concerns. He believes she needs professional help, not just discipline or reassurances. Kristen, however, sees things differently. Her instinct is to bring Rachel home and handle the situation herself, as a mother who knows her child better than anyone else. The conversation quickly becomes tense when Brady mentions what Rachel's doctor has advised, that the most important step is making sure Rachel understands her parents will never get back together. While this may be medically sound advice, it lands like a personal attack. Kristen feels blamed, as if all of Rachel's struggles are being placed squarely on her shoulders. She firmly pushes back. Kristen insists she no longer lives under any illusions about Brady or their past relationship. She acknowledges, perhaps more honestly than ever, that they were a toxic couple. Still, that doesn't mean she deserves to be treated as the sole problem. Kristen also makes it clear that she knows about Sarah. This knowledge cuts deep. While she claims to have been supportive and kind with Rachel, she believes Brady is being selfish by moving on so quickly, especially while their daughter is clearly struggling. In her eyes, Brady is prioritizing his own happiness over Rachel's emotional stability. Despite the tension, there is one small point of agreement between them: the past is over. They both know that reconciliation is not an option. Whether that understanding will truly help Rachel or simply add to her confusion remains to be seen. Quiet conflicts, lasting consequences. Elsewhere in Salem, Leo attempts to reach Javi and Gwen, hoping to reason with them before further damage is done. At the same time, Dimitri makes it clear he's not done playing power games, using threats of trade and leverage to remind everyone that nothing in Salem ever stays simple for long. A day of reflection rather than resolution. This episode of Days of Our Lives may not have delivered immediate answers, but it offered something just as meaningful: reflection. It reminded viewers, especially those who have lived long, full lives, that healing is not quick, parenting never truly gets easier, and love leaves marks that time alone cannot erase. As Salem moves forward, these quiet moments may prove more important than any dramatic twist. Because in the end, it's not just about what happens next, it's about how each character carries what they've already lost.